Welcome to CUTV News Radio, where our hosts Doug Llewelyn and Jim Masters talk to today's top thinkers from all around the world to bring you information, inspiration, and thought-provoking ideas that you can put to use in your personal or professional life right now. Covering a broad range of topics, we dig deep to discover what makes today's top thinkers tick. CUTV News Radio. It's the show where ideas matter. And now, here's today's host, Jim Masters.
We thank you very much for joining us, everybody. This is Jim Masters. A pleasure to have you with us today. It's also a pleasure to have Chimene Van Gundy on our program as well, of Mobile Home Millions. I've had an opportunity to not only interview her here on the air on CUTV News Radio Live, but also recently in our television studio in the New York tri-state area, and really have an opportunity to engage with her and learn about her incredible successes, the backstory to it all, and so much more. She is considered the queen of mobile homes, the CEO, founder, and creator of the Mobile Home Millionaire System. Chimene created Mobile Home Millions as a platform to teach others how to use mobile homes to earn money and transform their life. And in 4 years, she has found homes for over 400 families. That's right. The truth is 22 million Americans live in mobile homes. If you didn't know that, 4.5 million make six figures or more a year. And the maintenance is easy, and you don't have to be house poor. You can enjoy your life and your hard-earned money as well. Chimene says when you see these mobile homes, they blow your mind. They are not a typical trailer in the way that you maybe think. There are changing perceptions of mobile homes and mobile home communities and go a long way towards solving problems like homelessness and senior living. Mobile home parks are actually a great way for seniors to live in retirement communities and extend their lives by 8 to 10 years. You can actually purchase a manufactured house in Florida between $25,000 to $40,000 and pay anywhere $600 to $800 a month a lot rent. But that gets, the lawn mowed in the clubhouse where they get to do the stuff with their friends. Even a pickleball court, bingo night, and book clubs, and so much more entertainment and enjoyment. Suddenly, a senior who has been living alone can live near people they know, people that they love, people their age, people they have stuff in common with. Because affordable housing is quickly becoming a thing of the past. The cost of living keeps going up, wages remain flat, and the requirements to rent an apartment can even be more burdensome than a mortgage. So according to Chimene Van Gundy, mobile homes and manufactured housing are America's last hope for affordable housing. And capital groups are starting to get wise to that fact that mobile homes give you great returns, and they're starting to get into the game. She says we can't let them get into the game, because if you do, then it's going to ruin it the same way that's been done with everything else. So, like Wall Street, things of that nature. So, you've got to have a place for people to live. You have to. Food, water, clothing, shelter. They're not wants, they're needs. She makes the connection for everybody as well. They're also wonderful investments. I learned when chatting with Chimene that they're relatively recession-proof as well. That and self-storage, climate-controlled self-storage units are another thing that is recession-proof. So, lots to talk about. We are very happy to welcome her back to CUTV News Radio Live as we kick off an exclusive brand new series with her here on CUTV News Radio. And again, the video interview that we did at the television studio is in production right now, and so that'll be coming out soon, so stay tuned for that as well. But without further ado, because there's lots of topics of discussion, like the affordable housing crisis in America, misconceptions of mobile homes, psychological health benefits, mobile home parks for college housing, mobile homes, real property versus personal property, recession-proof asset class, recession-proof your portfolio, and so much more. But let's take a moment to welcome our very special guest, Chimene Van Gundy, who is actually on location right now on a project, and we welcome her back to CUTV News Radio Live. Chimene, welcome back to the program. Always great to have you with us, and it was great having an opportunity to interview you in the television studio recently as well. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you so much for having me.
You are very, very welcome. And as I said, you're on the road and on location and helping people as you always do so beautifully. So you're always here, there, and everywhere working with folks and really connecting them to the mobile home world. And what is your perspective on affordable housing and this crisis that we do have currently going on in America, Chimene? You're on the front lines. You're there on the ground level.
Right. So we obviously we have a significant problem with affordable housing. Europe also has a significant problem with affordable housing. But the one thing that I hear all the time when I'm out and about is the cost of living. So there's places, like some places in Denver, Colorado, Littleton is another place as well where, you've got apartments that are renting for $2,200 and $2,400. Sometimes that's more than a mortgage. It's kind of ridiculous, right, that an apartment would ever cost that much. So you have these places all over the U.S. where apartments have just gone up so much. They're not really affordable housing anymore like they used to be. That was the alternative to having a house. You would go get an apartment. It would be somewhat of a quarter of the price of what it would be for the cost of a house, and you could live quite easily on that. But as we've seen Wall Street get into this game, as capital groups have gotten into this game of getting into apartment complexes, you have now the rent rates that have gone up and up and up. And when you have inflation that's traveling at the speed of light higher than wages can keep up, all of a sudden it causes an issue with housing. And so mobile homes or manufactured housing are literally the last affordable housing in America that we have left. And so, there's all these things, right? Whether it's tiny homes or modular homes or mobile homes, it doesn't matter. They're usually typically a quarter of the cost of what it costs to build a stick and brick house. And so that's really where my passion comes in, and what we do is really marrying those two together, taking mobile homes, rehabbing them, getting people into them that need housing, and being able to solve that problem, right, that we have where they actually cannot be house poor and they actually can live with dignity and respect in a mobile home and be able to do it affordably and still be able to provide for their families and enjoy life.
That is a beautiful scenario. It really is. And the fact that it's reality, too, is an important thing for people to note. People are living the American dream in so many different ways, shapes, and forms, and it doesn't always have to be, a stick, brick, and mortar type of property. People are having wonderful lives in these mobile homes and really enjoying themselves and stretching their dollars, which is incredible. It does sound, too, also like there is, which we've heard in so many segments of society, it's almost like a class warfare on many levels, right? Tell us about that, because, again, you see it and you hear it, and some of what you've seen here probably really surprises you, too.
Right. Well, essentially, right? So people really have this mindset and this reality about what people that live in mobile homes or mobile home parks are like. It was interesting. I was acquiring a park, and I was talking to a lady about it at the bank, and she was like, well, those people, I would never do that. They just don't pay their bills. And I was like, well, isn't that true? Because isn't there hundreds of thousands of foreclosures across the U.S. every year, every month that occur? I mean, that happens the same way in apartment complexes too, because you have turnover with rent. I said, so it happens in every asset class. It's not just those people. And that has been the mentality of being and working in this field. So there's the stigma to it, right? Almost like class warfare, as you were saying. But the interesting thing is I have mobile homes that I have sold to doctors and attorneys and professional people because they're too busy. They can't enjoy a nice big house. They want something simple. They want a simple life. They don't want to have to really have the upkeep of what a home requires. And so for them, living in a 1,400 3-bedroom, 2-bath mobile home is perfect for them. and they enjoy the park. They enjoy the stuff that comes. They enjoy being around the community of people. And so it's really quite interesting the way that people have the perceptions out there that people have of it. And so one of the things that we're really striving to do is to educate people and really turn those stigmas around.
That's key, and that's something that you're on a mission to do and have been doing so beautifully. You know, and when they do build housing in a community, it tends to be luxury condos. You're seeing that a lot, even with refurbishment of old factories and things of that nature. Meanwhile, landlords and property managers, sometimes I guess some people feel they can be almost predatory by nature. That's been your experience, what you observed, huh?
Well, yes, absolutely. And so what we're doing is, you know, what I love about what we do is we're actually giving people pride of ownership. So, you know, they're going in, we're just owner financing it. So we're acting like the bank and financing the home for them, but then they own the home. So they're, you know, as long as they're abiding by the rules in the mobile home parks, then it's fine. And we're going in and being able to provide them with housing that they actually are responsible for. And it's so much better than having tenants that rent, because there's something in the real estate industry that's known as the 4 T's, and that's toilets, tenants, trash, and termites. Nobody wants to deal with those. And so in this case, in this scenario, we're getting the best of both worlds. We're providing somebody with a house that they own that has pride of ownership, and we're stepping back and just being the bank. And so, you know, they're responsible for the house that they live in, yet we're able to provide that to them. And so that's really where the two marry, and it's a wonderful thing. And it's been beautiful to see the transformations in people's lives.
That can be extraordinary, I'm sure. You've witnessed it so many times, Chimene. The stereotypes, again, of people who live in the mobile homes. You're outlining beautifully for us the truth. Let's expand on that a little bit. Why do people have these misconceptions and stereotypes?
Well, because I think for a long time in the U.S., you had these areas, these pockets that were very, very poverty-stricken, and you had a lot of mobile home parks that were very run down. They looked trashy. And so even if you look on some of the older movies, right, most of those movies have a mobile home park or a trailer park, right, and they don't look so good. And so there's really been this stigma and this mentality of, you know, if you live in a trailer park or a mobile home park, you're missing teeth, you got this big beer belly, you know, you're smoking cigarettes, you're just not very intelligent. And so I think that also was compounded too when you had a lot of these cities who didn't know what to do with it and are trying to clean up their cities, and they're like, okay, no more mobile homes, no more mobile home parks. And so what that did, although the city thought they were trying to fix a problem, they actually caused a problem, because now in a lot of cities around the U.S., you're not able to really upkeep or do anything with those mobile home parks. Some cities have even said you can't put any more units in this park. And so instead of allowing the owners to come in and put in newer units or having the older units rehabbed so they look like up to a specific standard and they look good, they've really tied the hands. And so you have, you know, cities that thought they were solving a problem that weren't. They made the problem worse. And then you've got all the stigma that has been really given about mobile homes, the people in them through TV and media and other things. And so that's really why it's there. And so it has been quite the challenge to really break those barriers and really break those deceptions and those stereotypes. And so that's really what we're trying to do with Mobile Home Millions platform, is really educate people on this is actually a dignified place for people to live. This is what they look like. This is what they do. And this is what they're able to provide these people. And we're being able to do that. So doing things like my interview with you with CUTV News and going out to the studio and these radio shows, those are really helping to really start dispelling the myths about people that live in manufactured housing. But really, honestly, Jim, the people that live in them, they are, they are the bread and butter. They're the workers. They're the bread and butter of what makes this country so amazing.
Absolutely. And, even when you put down a down payment on a house, that's usually a huge part, if not all of your savings. I mean, the amount that's required these days for the deposit, is tremendous, and people are having to scrape sometimes because they want that American dream, they want that home. But every day of your life becomes about really making that next mortgage payment, and sometimes people struggle to even do that. That's so true, right?
Well, absolutely. So you've got a lot of people in the U.S., right? We're keeping up with the Joneses. And so you have a lot of people who are moving into really nice neighborhoods. They have gorgeous houses, but they're kind of tied to it. They can't really enjoy life. And so for a lot of people, they're seeing, wow, especially the movement that we have now with the baby boomers coming up and seniors. Seniors are seeing, wow, my dollar can go further. You mean I don't have to pay property taxes on a mobile home? You mean it's personal property? You mean it's only taxed like a car, and I can pay $600 to $800 a month, and I get all this stuff taken care of? Sign me up today. And that's what you have happening. You have this transition, and so what's happening is they're seeing that their dollar can go a lot further. Nobody prepared them at all for the rate of inflation, for retirement. Nobody prepared them for that. So most people now that are retiring only have money to live, really, for the next 8 to 10 years, because inflation has gone up so much and nobody prepared them for that. And so they're literally able to sell their brick and stick house and go and take that money and use that money to live off of as part of their retirement in a mobile home community. And they're flocking to places like Florida and Texas and other places, Arizona and some in North Carolina. And they're moving to a lot of the southern sunny states, getting away from those things and really being able to live a healthier life, a lot healthier life.
Right, exactly. And it's not like you can just pay your mortgage. You also, have to pay your taxes and utilities and
Right.
insurance. It's all of these extra costs when you already, need a roof sometimes to stay dry when it rains.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And so when you're talking about these communities, you actually, as you said in the intro, right, we have these seniors that are moving. And so if you think about the way in which really we've kind of migrated. So families used to stay in place, right? They would live there their whole life. Then people got mobile and families spread out. And so you have these seniors that have lived in their house for 35, 40 years. It's paid for, but they don't even know who their neighbors are. It was interesting because just a couple of weeks ago, they came out with a study that said that actually the average senior only will go a week to a week and a half without even talking to one person. Isn't that sad? And so because families are dispersed and they're busy, right, nobody's really checking on the elderly person. And the way that America works now is you don't really know your neighbor. That's not really talked about much anymore, to be neighborly and really know about what's going on in your community. And so you have these elderly people that are just left to their own devices, and they're lonely. And so oftentimes loneliness leads to health problems, leads to eventually death. And so they're able to move, go into these mobile home parks, and they're around other people their age, and they get active. And they're joining book clubs and playing bingo at night and riding golf carts around the community. And they're around these active people. And so now it's extending their life 8 to 10 years longer.
That's incredible. That is huge. And that is a real revelation as well. That is tremendous. And good news on that front, definitely. A mobile home would probably give somebody more space sometimes than even where they live now. It would definitely be cheaper. You and I had talked about this fad about people living in these tiny little 400 square foot almost rooms that they're calling homes. The mobile home probably give people far more space than that.
Well, yeah. So basically, in the industry, anything that's under 400 square feet is considered a tiny home, and anything that's above that would just be considered a manufactured house. And so, yeah, you have single wides, double wides, triple wides. So you have some manufactured houses where, and a double wide just basically means they're wider, right? A double wide doesn't typically mean that it's bigger, because I have single wides that are longer. So you've got 16 by 76, you've got 16 by 80, and then you've got 14 by 72. And so it just depends on what size that you have. But a mobile home, a lot of times, is a lot bigger than an apartment that they're living in central New York or in other places too. So they're getting more room, more space, more money, more bang for their buck. And now they don't have the hustle and the bustle of the city. Now they're in a community of people that's going to look out for them, that looks out for each other. And now they have activities and places that they can do that are close by. And that's the great thing. They're close by. So they just hop into their golf cart and drive on over. So it's really interesting to see how kind of this process has occurred over time. And then you also have a lot of migrant workers who are coming to the U.S. Those are the people here that pick our crops. They're the people here. They're not illegal immigrants. They're people here that are coming legally on work visas. Well, they have no social security number. They have no credit. How are they going to get housing? And so in places like Texas and other states, we are actually able to provide housing to migrant workers as well, who are really hardworking individuals and families who are coming here to really work, to get paid well. And then, of course, for 2 months a year, they leave and go back to Mexico or Central America, wherever it is that they're from. But you also have to provide housing opportunities for those people. So we've really just looked at the market, been able to see where the need is lying, and being able to actually solve that issue and provide housing and be able to do it in a place where it's needed.
Again, really important for people to realize that, because, again, you are really a one-stop shop in being able to help people in such a way. And, there's also the psychological and health benefits, and some of which you mentioned as far as positive health benefits in living in mobile homes. I think we should reinforce that, because I think that is sort of a type of information that I think a lot of people don't realize.
Yes. So as you know, Jim, I just literally filmed with the American Health Journal from PBS and just did a segment on this for them. So March 23rd, 2017, Time magazine came out with an article, and it was actually called Homes of the Future. And what they talked about in this article was really interesting. They talk about aging in place. And so what they were talking about was occurring in mobile homes and mobile home parks, where you actually had a population of people who went from being extremely lonely. So loneliness causes all kinds of mental health issues, all kinds of psychological issues, especially for seniors, right? Because you've gone from being that parent, raising your family, to all of a sudden you've had either a spouse pass away or you've had friends pass away, and now all of a sudden you know that your children are busy raising their children, but you went from being the most important person in the family segment and unit to now not really being as important anymore. And so it's coming to terms with that. Then it's the fact that all these people have moved away. They don't know who their neighbors are. Nobody's checking on them. And so it creates a lot of mental health issues for them and a lot of, again, loneliness. So then they're able to literally sell their house, move into a community where they're active. So, now they have friends. Now they're eating meals with people. Now they're talking to people every day. They're walking. They're reading. They're joining clubs. They're riding on their golf carts. They're out and about. They're enjoying nature. They're enjoying one another. Now they're playing pickleball, which is really interesting. If you don't know about pickleball, Google it. That's actually a really amazing trend that's happening now. And so all of a sudden,
it is. It's really cool.
Well, guess what? Yeah, guess what happens when you're more active? You know, your health gets better. You're exercising. You're active. You know, endorphins are caused by exercise. Exercise creates endorphins, and endorphins make you happy. So all of a sudden, you have these lonely, depressed people becoming these active, happy people, and they're living amazingly longer. And so what the Time magazine article was saying is that what's happening in these parks is they're aging in place. Although they're aging happier and healthier, and they're having a better quality of life. And so although they raised their family in that home that they had, that stick brick home that they had, they're happier now where they're aging in place with a community around them. And so what we've now been looking into, right, is actually setting up. And so you have the community of the mobile home park where you have, you know, it's a senior park where seniors are living. Well, what happened if you converted the park next door to assisted living? Now, again, you're helping them, helping the community. Now they're still around their peers, right? They're still around their peers, and they understand what's going on. They're still in their community. They just need a little bit of help with a few things. So that's now what we're starting to move into. So it's really interesting how all these things have evolved and morphed. But Time magazine had it right. Mobile homes and mobile home parks are really the homes of the future.
You know, some of what you said, too, you're talking about the physical health benefits also within that, brain health too, because they're engaging with people, so the loneliness factor is not there, and maybe working, you know, in a garden around their mobile home or whatever it may be. The activity is so good for brain health. You know, there's dementia, Alzheimer's, which is very big right now, so this can possibly, you know, maybe help with some of that. There's the psychological health benefits as we're talking about, and also the fact that the lifeblood of our country really is families. And it really does sound from your description, Chimene, that these mobile homes and the business that you have, it's a wonderful way to keep families together.
Yes, it is. It absolutely is. And sometimes, depending on what season of life that we're in, whether we're empty nesters. So, you know, a lot of times when you're an empty nester, your new kind of family unit becomes other friends that you have that are empty nesters. So, you know, at each stage in our life, we make our family, right? It doesn't just have to be the people that we were born into or the blood relatives. It's really the people that we choose. And so, yes, you're right. They're making their own little family unit within their communities, and they're healthier and doing better for their actual family that they have.
Which is beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
Isn't that amazing?
We talked it absolutely is. We talked, even in the video interview, a little bit about the meaning of real property versus personal property. Can you define that for us a little more?
Sure. So personal property is like a car. So it's like a car, and you just pay a couple $100 a year. It you know, it has a title to it. Real property actually is typically a piece of real estate that has a deed of trust. So it's actually a piece of real estate that's attached to land. So you can have a mobile home that's considered real property because it's attached to land, meaning that the mobile home comes with the land that it's on. But in a lot of these mobile home parks, why they pay lot rent is it's like personal property. It's like a car. You're renting the lot. However, the great thing about that for especially 55 and older communities is you've got, when you're paying lot rent, your lot rent goes to making sure that everybody goes through a criminal background check, right? So we don't have any dangerous people living around you, making sure that the home is kept up, making sure it's insured, making sure it's locked down, And then the mobile home park is responsible for vetting the people that are coming in there that are moving into the community. And so it actually takes away all of the stress that you might have when you're living in your actual brick and stick home. Nobody's checking the people that are moving next door to you. Does that make sense? So it's actually a lot of times safer for them to live in a community like that versus in a community where they've been there for 35 to 40 years.
Makes total sense. We're speaking with Chimene Van Gundy. She is the expert. She is the queen of mobile homes, the CEO, founder, and creator of the Mobile Home Millionaire System. And she created the Mobile Home Million System as a platform to teach others how to use mobile homes to actually earn money and transform their life. And in 4 years, she has found homes for over 400 families, and that number continues to grow by leaps and bounds. Real quick, we're pretty much out of time, but I mentioned in the introduction that it's a good investment too, isn't it? A recession-proof investment.
Yes, it is. There are 3 asset classes in real estate that are recession-proof. One is land, the second is mobile homes, and the third is self-storage. And MSN's Market Watch came out with an article on November 15th of 2018 that actually said that mobile homes and mobile home parks were the only stock on the S&P 500 that maintained their value or increased in value during downturns and slumps in the market. And that's been over the past 12 years.
Yeah, another reason to consider the mobile home investment, absolutely. And the person that can help you do that is a very special guest, Chimene Van Gundy. You can go to the website mobilehomemillions.com. That's mobilehomemillions.com to connect with Chimene Van Gundy. Again, she's very approachable and affable, and she can answer any questions, even if you're just exploring the ideas or you have more questions that need to be answered. She can tell you more. She is the expert. She's on the front lines. This is part 1 of an extended series we're doing in October and November with our very special guest, Chimene Van Gundy, and we're looking forward to the continuation and more in-depth discussion on all of this. Very revealing information about Mobile Home Millions and the mobile home industry. Chimene, thank you very much for joining us here on the program today. A pleasure chatting with you once again, and we look forward to continuing the series together here on CUTV News Radio Live. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Jim. Thanks for having me.
You are very, very welcome, and we'll talk again real soon. Again, a very special guest, Chimene Van Gundy of Mobile Home Millions. And check out the website, mobilehomemillions.com, to learn more. I'm Jim Masters, your host. Thanks for joining us for this episode, and we thank a very special guest, Chimene Van Gundy. Stay tuned. More great episodes of CUTV News Radio Live coming up in just a moment. And we invite you to stay tuned for that as we continue to celebrate amazing people who are doing incredible things to make our world a better place right here, exclusively on CUTV News Radio Live. Take care and bye for now.
You've been listening to CUTV News Radio. If you want to learn more about our programming or perhaps be considered for a future show, visit us on the web at www.cutvnews.com. And if you enjoyed listening to today's show, subscribe to our podcast on iTunes or Stitcher, and be sure to write a review. Thanks for listening, and from all of us at CUTV News Radio, we hope you have a productive and inspired day.